This time we do have a packet tracer file, but nothing is really configured, so let's get into it. The first thing I want to set up are those serial interfaces on the Frame Relay cloud and then connect them here in Frame Relay under connections. So let's start from serial 0. Again, we're going to look at this logical diagram here. And on serial 0, we have two links or two DLCI, so the logic is pretty much the same. Actually, we could have used what we configured in the previous exercise, but for the sake of practice, let's do it again. So we're going to have DLCI 101, and that one represents the link that connects router 0 and router 3. So I'm going to name it R0-R3, and I'm going to put an M here just to remind myself that this link belongs to a multi-point frame relay network. Let's move on to 201. That one connects router 0 and router 2, and it's also a part of a multi-point network. Moving on to serial 1, we have 401. This is a regular point-to-point link, so it connects router 1 and router 3. Under serial 2, we will have two DLCIs, 202. This is to connect to router 2, and router 0, and it's also multi-point. And then 301, a router 2 and the router 3, and it's also multi-point. On serial 3, we will have two multi-point DLCIs and one point-to-point. So let's start from 102. That one connects router 3 and router 0. 302, router 3 and the router 2. And then 402, that one connects router 3 and router 1. Now let's match these. We want to connect first router 0 and router 3. This is DLCIs 101 and 102, so one end is connected to serial 0, and we should choose router 0 dash router 3 multipoint. On the other side, it's serial 3. We're trying to connect router 3 and router 0. Add that. Next one to go is 201 and 202, so router 0 and router 2. And then on the other side, serial 2, connecting router 2 and router 0. Next, we want to connect to router 2 and router 3. We need serial 2 on the left, router 2 dash router 3, and on the right, serial 3, router 3 dash router 2. And then one more, that's this one. So on one side we have serial 1 connecting router 1 and router 3. That's actually the only option. And then on the other side, serial 3 connecting router 3 and router 1. And that's it. That's actually in this exercise guide. So if you want to do it yourself, you can check it right here. Our next task is to configure frame relay protocol according to the logical diagram, only this time we will have multi-point subinterfaces, but we will also have this one point-to-point link. We'll start by configuring the serial interfaces on the routers, so only encapsulation and switching the interfaces on. And once we have configured that on all of 4 routers, we can continue with creating the subinterfaces. So enable configured terminal, host names are not set up here. So router 0, and then we get into the interface serial 000, encapsulation, frame relay. No shutdown. Exit. We're going to do the very same thing on the other 3 routers. Now let's configure the multi-point interfaces first, and then we'll configure this point-to-point link. So going to router 0 first, I'm going to create the multi-point subinterface. You do that by entering the command interface serial 000 dot, let's use 100 for example, it's a completely random number. And then I'm going to say multi-point. Okay, this was the command if that was too fast for you. And then we're going to add all the DLCIs that are connected to that interface. So frame relay interface DLCI 101 and 201. And that's it. Now I need to allocate an IP address to the subinterface, and I'm going to use 10.1.0.1 and /29 mask is 255.255.255.248. And that's it. Let's go on to router 2 now. We're pretty much going to do the same thing here. Create the subinterface. Frame relay interface DLCI 202 and then 301. And then IP address 10.1.0.255.255.255.248. And again, that's it. We could actually test the connectivity now. Oh wow, we have those tests from the previous exercise. I'm going to delete those and try to ping from router 0 to router 2. And that's successful. That's a good sign. Let's move on then to router 3. So interface serial 000.100 multi-point frame relay interface DLCI. We got 102. Make sure to not add this 402 DLCI because that's part of a point-to-point subinterface. So we will create a separate subinterface for that. Okay, so 102 and 302, and then IP address 10.1.0.3.255.255.255.248. Let's try to ping from router 3. I'm going to do ping 10.1.0.1 for example, and that's working, and then 10.1.0.2, and that's working as well. We can now go on to configure this point-to-point link. So for that, we're going to create a separate subinterface, interface serial 0/0/0 dot, and I can use the 402 this time. It's point-to-point. And then I'm going to say frame relay interface DLCI 402, IP address 10.4.0.2/30 this time. And then let's go to router 1, interface serial 000.401, point-to-point. Frame relay interface DLCI 401, IP address 10.4.0.1. Let's try to ping router 3 from here. I'm going to ping 10.4.0.2, and that works. But if we try to ping from router 0 to router 1, for example, that's not going to work. And that's no surprise because router 0 only has network 10.1.0.0 and router 1 only has 10400, and these two routers are not aware of each other's existence. So let's fix that by configuring a routing protocol. As already mentioned, we're going to use RIP. So let's start from router 0. This is quite straightforward. So router RIP version 2, no auto summary, network 10100, and we're going to do that on all the other routers as well. On router 3, however, we need to tell the router that there are two networks here, 10100 and 10400. And on router 1, we only have network 10400. Let's check the routing table. Do show IP routes. We can see all of the networks, all two networks that we have in this exercise right here, and this time our ping should work. There it is. Hopefully these two lessons helped you understand both point-to-point and multi-point frame relay. We will use them in some of the following exercises, so stay tuned.